So
Mhm.
yeah, like back to our little China thing from earlier.
Yeah.
John Cena, fucking Captain America, the
Yep.
Marine, cut
Mhm.
to China.
Yep. And it's like, well, I mean, why am I expecting more out of people from Hollywood? Like
Well,
seriously?
well, the thing is that like you expect him to be different because he's not from Hollywood. He's from Massachusetts, which yeah, it's a
Yeah,
blue state.
WWE, right?
Yeah, but he's from Boston, which is a blue state, but still he has a working class family. He comes off very based. And
Yep.
then he pulls something like this, and it's just
Yeah.
like
It's just uh
it's
I don't
almost
know.
like okay,
And
so
the thing is, he was like, the previous image of him was that he was like he was actually like a very good guy. He's like a nice guy. Like you've seen videos of him, pranking his fans and shit, and actually just
yeah,
being like a real person with them. And it's just like, why
yeah,
must you do this?
he came to about 10 years ago, maybe not that long, but close to that. He came to the next town over from the town I live in, and he was
Uh huh.
doing an autograph signing at the Kroger at the grocery store.
Yeah.
And apparently, the city had only paid him for the appearance, or Kroger, whoever paid him, but they had only paid him to sign like 500 autographs or 900 autographs, some number like that.
Some
And
arbitrary number.
apparently,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
apparently he stayed and autographed everybody that came to see him, and he was there for like 2 hours over when he was supposed to leave.
It.
So like he's a genuinely good dude, and
Yeah.
part of
And
me
then you
thinks that
see
like
this. Uh,
I want to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that like okay, he
like he just started his career in Hollywood. I think that's part of the reason why. Like
yeah, I do not want to rock this boat now. I especially because he's done wrestling.
Yep.
He's not going to wrestle anymore.
Mhm. Yep. Like I mean, he's like what 40 something now. He's too old for that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, wrestling. It can be done in such a way that you can wrestle well into your 50s, like Ric Flair did.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
Like,
no,
I don't know.
but he's done. He's definitely done. He hasn't had a match in like a year and a half.
Oh, okay.
His last match was a pre-recorded like thing with the Undertaker that was big and crazy and like had a lot of special effects in
Undertaker.
it. Yeah,
The
Undertaker was
Undertaker
still
is
wrestling.
still
No, not anymore. He
Jesus
retired too.
Christ. Oh, for fuck's sake!
He,
Like
he
I've heard of the Undertaker when I was like fucking 10 years old.
No, Undertaker held on. He held on until like 48 or 49 years old, and then he finally called it quits. I think
Oh,
he might have been 50 whenever him and John Cena did that match. But
oh,
neither
okay.
of them have wrestled since that match.
Ah,
So, but yeah, so John Cena's done. He's been doing movies for a while, but it's like you said, he's really trying to focus. So I want to give the benefit of the doubt, and like the studio was like, dude, you got to make this thing right.
mhm.
And I hate that the whole reason why he did this is because he referred to Taiwan as a country.
Well,
Taiwan
it's not just
is
that.
a
It's the
country.
fact that he gave the apology in Mandarin.
That hurt
That
me
was the
physically.
death. Yeah, same. That was the thing to me. Was like that was the coup de grace. I was like,
L-
oh god,
Get on their Twitter ripoff and speak English, and
yeah,
then have somebody edit in the characters for what you're saying in Mandarin.
yep.
But
But
yeah, no, it was awful.
actively,
And the look
I'm.
on his face, like again, I want
He
to give
looks
John
like a
Cena.
beaten dog. He looks like a
Yeah,
beaten dog. Like that's not a face that I would have thought I'd see on someone like John Cena.
no, exactly. Like
Especially, you know what? You know what? I'm gonna add this, especially in public, because
exactly.
I've seen that face on people I've served with. Like hell, I've probably made that same face
Yeah.
several times. But that's not something that you show to the public. Hell, that's not something you should show to your kids. Like you're someone that people look up to as a figure of not just strength, but of American strength.
Yeah.
And here you are, fucking
I
bowing down to Winnie the Pooh. Nah,
exactly. And I wasn't going to go see Fast Nine in the theaters anyway because of how much of it was filmed in China, and I'm genuinely on like a whole anti-China boycott at this point. Obviously, it slips. So much shit is made in China, it's almost impossible to not buy something that they made. And it's like, yeah, but they don't use cobalt batteries. It doesn't matter. They're made in China. Like, it's like that people, Mike, I got a friend who gives me shit because I use Android phones, and it's like, yeah, but those batteries have cobalt in them. and cobalt is mined by child slaves in Africa, and my iPhone, my battery doesn't have cobalt. And I'm like, yeah, but your phone was made in China.
Yeah, but it's assembled by child slaves in China. Yeah. And like, look,
I'm pretty sure that
look,
my Samsung
I'm
phone is
pretty
probably also
sure.
assembled by child slaves in China. But
I, I, I'm pretty. You see, I play both teams because I have both an iPhone and a Samsung. Uh, okay. No, yeah, I play both teams because I have both an iPhone and an Android, a Samsung. So, huh. I use the iPhone for work and the Samsung for personal shit.
makes a lot of sense.
hmm But like, you know what? This is gonna be a hot take, but I'm pretty sure African child slaves actually get better treatment than Chinese child slaves.
I mean, I don't know.
I
I
don't know.
imagine child slaves, no matter where they are,
Are
is
gonna
not
be
great.
treated like shit. Well, yeah, but I don't know. I'm willing to bet that African child slaves get treated better than Chinese child slaves.
Well, I'm a bit of a relativist, and like whenever people talk shit about like, I mean, I don't know about Chinese factories. I'm sure they're awful, and I'm sure the conditions in pretty much any East Asian factory is not great. But
Yeah.
like, it's all a game of relativism. Like, let's take something that's made in Taiwan, for instance.
hmm
Do the factory workers in Taiwan get paid shit? Sure,
Sure.
compared to American workers, but like if you look at it compared to other jobs they would be doing, they're actually
Yeah.
getting paid more.
100%. Yeah. Like
So,
this is the
and they
thing. This
want
is the
these
thing that
jobs. I
like
mean, obviously the child
yeah.
slaves who were forced into it, that's bad.
Oh well, that's the thing as well. But like some places don't have child labor laws, and these children are they want to do this for their parents. Like yes, you can make the case that because they're children, they're not going to be able to make the they don't have the the agency to be able to make these decisions. But like, what's the difference between this and farm labor?
Yeah,
Realistically.
I mean, we like that. I mean, in the United States, we have a school has summer vacation, and it
Mhm.
has its roots in American farmland. The summer vacation would happen around the time when it was harvest.
Yep.
It was literally you give kids 3 months off school so they could go do child labor with their families on the farm. And now we're supposed to sit here and take a moral high ground because kids in Sri Lanka are also doing that.
Yeah. What people tend to forget is that the only reason we can make a lot of these I guess demands, like it's literally the meme of the first world problems, right? Like we're only doing this because we're prosperous enough that we can afford it.
Exactly.
Like and let's not forget the system that got us the ability to do this shit in the first place, because that system needs to be sustained. You can't just build to a point and then we'll switch up because we're prosperous enough that we can afford to you know give up. Like people don't realize that it's a lot harder to be consistent than it appears to be.
A friend of mine's actually got a really good take on all this. He says like every communist country in the history of the world fails except for China, and there's a reason why, and it's because it's their state capitalism. It's because they realize that you can't like we can have communism, but we have to prop it up with capitalism or it will fail.
Yeah, and what that inevitably does is it's not communism anymore.
Like
Because
the Chinese Communist Party are not commies. Like they
yeah,
are,
they're not. They're commies in
but they're
ideology, but
not.
in practice,
They're
they can't.
capitalists. It's just that they're a lot closer to like market socialism, like in the idea that like this comparison gets made a lot, but it's a lot more. It's a lot closer to the way that the Nazi Party handled business in Germany. Like your private property
Yeah,
was allowed. You could as Nazis.
yeah,
Not you didn't even have to be a member of the Nazi Party. German citizens were allowed to own property. They were allowed to own their businesses, grow their businesses. There was upward mobility. You could start out poor in Nazi Germany and become rich.
hmm
Um, it was basically a free market, but once the company got to a certain size,
they
then
got
it got
nationalized.
then the Nazis got a piece of it.
Yep.
Yeah, the Nazis got a piece of it, not even the whole thing. They got a piece of it, and a
hmm
Nazi party member was installed at the highest echelons of the company to make sure that it
Yeah. So
coordinates with the state.
yep, there's essentially a commissar
Still,
there.
it was still in effect a private business.
Yep.
Yeah.
hmm But
So
see, like,
so and that's
see,
basically what
that's
China's
why
doing, and then you combine the fact that they also they and so it's funny they're so much like the Nazis in every way because they have that state
well,
capitalism like the Nazis. They
well,
practice
I know it's a
eugenics
meme.
like the Nazis.
Yep.
They have
Well,
concentration camps like the
like the
Nazis.
Nazis. Yep. Well, I know it's a meme, but like this is why I'm convinced by the argument that like the Nazis were a left wing thing. They were a left wing party. Everything
Yeah,
that
they
they
were.
did, everything that they did was like a left-wing policy. Nationalized healthcare, shovel-ready jobs, all that shit
The
was left-wing crap.
German Socialist Workers' Party.
Workers' Party. Yeah, I know, right? Like the anyway.
It's
But yeah,
socialist is in the name.
yep. And it's like, well, yeah, but like the only thing that they can claim as right-wing, quote unquote, is the focus on nationalism. And it's like, yeah, but that's what Stalin did, and you guys are sucking Stalin's cock like every 3 seconds.
Yeah, well, I mean, it depends on the bread tuber because, like, you get most bread tubers, like your Vosches and your Serfs, and a lot of them say, "Well, I don't like tankies." But
While
then,
they are tankies themselves.
yeah, I was gonna say, but then you have tankies in your audience, and you,
No, you say tanky shit. You just
yeah.
don't like the label. But you are a tanky. Fuck off.